Okay, wait. First, Helma asked about narration rules to review them. So the easiest thing is when you are rolling all by yourself, then whoever gets the higher number will narrate. And then if somebody is rolling with you, not to add, but just to see who gets the higher one for your shared goal, then whoever gets that higher die will be the narrator. So if you, however, are providing, if you spent a point of trust for that person or from that person, and then you add your die to their result, then you do not narrate at all.
Got
So
it. Thank you.
but there's one more rule that anybody that you have given trust to may at that moment spend a point of trust and take over the narration.
Yes.
And that person does not have to be in the conflict.
Does it have to be close, like in the place I am?
No, because they are simply narrating what happened. That player is narrating what happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
Now the next consideration is that you have chosen to enter, or at least approach, this little building, which is built into the side of the mountain. I am imagining that the mountain path is curving around with the wall of the mountain on the left. And so the drop off is on the right. And this part is a little bit steep, and not too steep because there is enough flat ground or almost flat ground for there to be a building built to the right. But that means that if you go a little further out in that building, that its foundation has been built on strong legs, posts into the ground, because you see it is on flat ground at first, and then as you go further out, it's actually projecting a little bit out and over the slope of the mountain, which is not too terribly steep, but it is not flat enough for the house to be set into the ground all the way around. So from where you see it, you can see that it is level. The front is level with the ground. You would just walk in. Is that clear on the construction of the building as far as that geography is concerned?
Yes, very clear.
I believe so.
Okay, and then the other consideration is that this house is not really so much of a house. It is very basic. Its purpose is very ordinary and familiar to you. Its purpose is for travelers who need some shelter and to warm their clothes and maybe cook some food to stay there. It doesn't have any kind of special qualities inside. There will be no furniture. If the last people were kind, they would have left some wood for the next person. There may be some simple tools, but not very much. And travelers are expected kind of to take care of themselves and do have all the things they need, rather than provide them. So it's very, very basic. It is from side to side, fairly long, about between 15 and 20 meters across. Yeah, so it's pretty long. But it is still just a basic wooden building. It's not much more than a Scandinavian longhouse, and probably not as strong. And then it's about half as wide as that. So, or deep. It doesn't. It So it's almost a perfect rectangle, is what I'm saying. And at one end, probably the ends that is projecting further on the path, you can see that there is smoke coming out of the smoke hole. So clearly there is. And it is very cheerful looking. There is a little bit of a platform, or I suppose if it runs around the back, then it is actually a balcony, but it's not very high. The slope is the cliff is not so steep. It's just a person could get under the house from the back, but it would not be comfortable. They cannot walk easily underneath. It's not high enough. Um, the ground is very solid and very uh, full of rocks um, that are. We live in a mountain land, so we are aware of how the heavy rocks are actually part of the geography of the grounds, the practically creating the infrastructure of the ground. And so it's like that. Um, there are a lot of trees in this part of the road. You are onto the slopes of the mountain that are more like a forest at this time. The trees are mostly some kind of fir tree. Um, Now, uh, the last I heard was that despite all the obvious and not so obvious dangers, you have chosen to at least try to take refuge here on the theory that at least you know a monster is trying to eat you in there, or something like that. I believe
I
that
think
was the logic. Mhm.
I introduced the I mean, if this is they are trying to scare us with all these like funeral notes,
That's right. I
then
forgot to
that
mention that again. Yeah, it's
yeah.
clearly somebody
So
cares a lot about the dead.
yeah, and if they're trying to scare us with that, we should not be scared. We should go in there. That's how my logic was presented. That's
Okay.
and if that's a good idea, that's what my characters tries to stand
Mhm.
for.
Okay. So the four of you have approached. The door is a uh, uh, sliding door. To get to it, you have to actually step onto the wooden platform or foundation of the house. And that's fine. I mean, it's not strange or anything. Um, and so I simply would like to know what you do.
I think I'm really prepared for something. My we should not be scared, but I'm obviously if not scared on edge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm prepared for even worse than an owl.
Ah, and
Uh,
how about you, Nathan? What is Kisaragi doing?
I think I will stay in the back and just continue playing music. It was effective until now, so
Okay.
yeah.
And so then the other two.
I'm going to take a look around calmly. I will be on my guard, but I will send a calming message with my body language and everything. And look around, look if something is there, and yeah,
Okay.
make myself. Yeah.
There's nothing to observe except what I have already stated.
Okay.
So, and then Helma.
Yes, I was thinking of staying in the back with Kisaragi Sama, but it's obviously none of the men is going to open the door and basically step into it, despite them saying that we are going to sleep here.
Yeah.
Let's
I thought we were in. I'm sorry. I lost track. I thought we were inside.
Hold on. So did I hear Helma say that you are opening the door and entering?
yes.
Okay, perfect.
I will
Well-
follow her.
Mhm. Sure.
I will follow
This
her.
is, and you're basically going like on the two sides of me because I'm just standing there.
Right, exactly.
Uh,
You were like, let's go in, and then you
pretending
sort of
to-
get yourself ready to fight, and
and then
Idosama waits a
people pass
second
me
and then just steps forward and opens the door. Okay, so
Yeah.
perfect. So you open the door, and inside, it is just a little bit more cheerful than you would expect of just like bare wood, but not very much. That there is a fire in the little. There is a way to have a fire in there safely, and it is a fire pit. A hole has been cut in the floor, and then there is a sunken depression there. And anybody who knows anything could recognize that you can also go down below the house and get some extra wood in that way if you want to. And that there's a structure over it which will radiate metal. It's made of metal and will radiate heat into the room. And then the smoke is going up nicely up into the roof. And so, tending this fire, and I should again point out that the inside is clean and it is somewhat better lit than you might expect. There are little lanterns set around, and the standing next to the fire and tending the fire, in fact, putting a bowl, no, a pot that is held on a little framework, so it is over the fire, setting it up and perhaps putting the lid back on, is a little old woman, and she is wearing very, very poor clothing, but it is carefully mended, carefully repaired, so that all of its little edges are just right, but it is made of very, very old, very cheap material. And so her hair is very simply done. There is nothing fancy. She spent no time. It is just neat and tied back. And she is rather old. Her hair is almost white. It is of the kind of white that is turned somewhat yellow. And she is smiling at you in a way with kind of a pleased and welcoming smile, with no pride in her eyes, no pride in her expression. It's all like a very pleased old lady to have you here. And she says, very, very formally, this person thanks you for your kindness and compliments you on your boldness. This person is so glad that you are safe now.
I would like to remind everybody that last time we had somebody waiting for us and talking nicely to us. He became a demon and tried to kill us.
That never happens. Yeah.
Just saying.
In character or
Please, in character.
right for the old lady.
No, but I'm still on edge. It's
May
a good
I
thing.
just answer her greeting in a formal and friendly way and inquire whether we would be able to spend the night.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry I don't have any kind of furniture here for you, but there are many places where you can sleep. And she gestures with her hand.